it's kind of difficult to actually hold out. Once there is a certain challenge or a grenade, like you could easily lose one member and not having anyone to assist on the potential revive. So it definitely will look to be a little bit tough
Wow.
as we see a little bit pressure over onto Rage.
Yeah, No Fear already knows exactly from which direction he will be coming from. I mean, he did take a lot of damage coming from that spray, and Range getting inside that vehicle will no longer be an option. But where could he go? I mean, there's really not much time. The zone is already there, ready to devour them, and the only thing that needs to the only thing that I could, think of is Range denying the point up against Horror Esports. But he needs to move, but I don't know where exactly he's gonna go.
Wherever he wants to go, he will look to survive. But that they, oh, almost clipped him completely. Range somehow still survives, but he's got so little space to actually work with. He needs to dance through the smokes and make it rain. It will be from the side of HE, Horror Esports. Now, restock. He's got that P90 in the hands of Malik, and they're definitely ready to go on a roll. And even better for Sky, he's also securing some parts of the upcoming phase of the circle. So it's really down to how K1 as well as Talon plays it out, because they will need to start making a move out of the compounds that they've been seeking refuge for the longest of time. So whatever smokes, they gotta toss it out there in order to maybe block a little bit of vision. But it is starting to become a lot more daunting because Sky, he is gonna scout out ahead to see who moves out first.
Yeah, I know that, okay, a while ago it was Horror Esports that's dominating the chart, right? But yeah, since K1, they still have like a portion of that compound, right? So they can still seek refuge there. And Horror Esports, they don't have anything, but of course they're playing the open field here. Talent Esports will have to keep up the compound as well. So K1, we're just waiting if they can play their cards right. If they can do that, I think they have really the best chance of actually scoring the chicken dinner here. But the fact that, Horror Esports has some elevation to work with, that gives them, that slight advantage. But then again, it all boils down to how good this team's when it comes to execution. And a lot of them right now is high on adrenaline. So this is crucial for all three teams.
Yeah, of course, being at the short end of the stick here, it's Talent Esports just by the very edge of it. They're not making any moves at the moment. They're looking to assess the situation. They drop a couple of nades, hoping to connect towards the side of K1 Esports. Now, movements up atop. Axel immediately gets clipped, and with just one nade and a couple of bullets, that should do the trick for the side of K1. They get depleted instantaneously. So, Talent Esports settles for third, and I'm surprised there's just no eliminations whatsoever coming from the side of Talent, but at least those placement points come in handy. Now, it's Horror Esports. Full control over the top end of the kill, and K1, they're just swarming out of it, hoping to find an exchange, but not getting anything at all. By the broken wall, it's just going to be Tenyu holding it out against Malik. Has to go for a reroll. He still has 3 more grenades to work with. Gonna put it to good use this time, but K1, he's on the push.
Yes, sir. Obviously K1 is at a disadvantage considering the fact that they will be coming from down below, and this is such a good rotation coming from Horror Esports. And again, we got a knockdown. So Horror Esports now being aggressive. They know they have the upper hand, and here comes the exchange. Horror Esports wins the game.
Perfect execution, smart plays, great decision making that sees them rise up to the top. Horror Esports of Nepal once again finds their way back into a win, and they do it in a very convincing manner as well. And what I love the most about this matchup, where Horror was very decisive on their strikes, especially the battle that they had against BTR. They slowly single out their targets and take that control over the hill, and they weren't basically worried about, putting themselves into the take of the battles, because how many teams were challenging for compounds? They say, screw that compound, we can play from the outskirts, and that's how they got this win.
Honestly, yeah, they did try to avoid to get into a lot of fights, because there were a lot of teams like really flocking in that specific area, just because we've got at least 3 compounds right there, and it was firstly occupied by Harame Bros, and it was DRX who actually first challenged them to get that compound, but they defended it so very well. That's why it worked out. But Horror Esports, I mean, you're right. They did stay, outskirts. They didn't take any fights unless they were forced to. I mean, I did say this a while ago that there were a lot of times they met with the Bigatron Red Aliens, but they took the fight, I think, perhaps stage 7, if I'm not mistaken, down south. And that is it. It was a great effect, a great impact on the side of Horror Esports, getting their momentum down, and actually wins the fight. Very convincing, I might add.
Yeah, and they do it in spectacular fashion in the way that they've actually executed it. Even when they understand that there's a team over onto a specific area that they want to challenge, they just full send it. That's how they've been able to just convincingly win those clean fights overall, and that's just massive damage that has been done by the side of Hora. That's 2,333 damage in comparison to K1's 1,009. But kudos to the side of K1 though. It wasn't exactly the easiest place to hold out from, where we saw many teams have tried to take that space away, but K1, they were adamant to hold it out. Together with the side of Harame Bros, eventually it came down to them, Talon, and a few other noble names. But it definitely was Sky that stole the show in this match.
Absolutely. There's a lot of our audience waiting for Horror Esports to actually come up on top. So I guess this is it, or this was it rather, because it has been a while since Horror Esports scored a winner with Chicken Dinner, and again, this is a major comeback for the team, and especially to Sky, because he did win the overall MVP during the playoffs, and it took him quite a while, before he was able to put himself up again when it comes to top performers for each map. And we also got, of course, ZWZ coming from K1, Horror. We got Malik as well, and Tian Yu. So we've got 2 of each team right here from being the top performers in Erangel.
Yeah, we see great haul of points for Hora for winning this Chicken Dinner with 24 points added to their table. And same goes to K1. This is one of the best rounds that we've seen so far here for day 2 for the PL side. Meanwhile, massive improvements coming from the side of Yudo Alliance with that 12-pointer. And Harame Bros, they got themselves that 8 points out there. And I'm seeing a little bit of a dip of performance coming from DRX, moving a lot slower into the second half of the day as well. Ever since they had a very difficult start into those Miramar rounds, it didn't seem like Erangel was treating them any kinder in that essence as well. So we see, now the gears are starting to shift for teams that are desperate to gain those points to back majority of it. So BTR, they will basically enjoy what's coming their way, because DRX isn't really farming big points out there. So perhaps there's an opening for BTR to still race for that top 1 position.
Yeah, but DRX probably has like big targets on their back since they are at the top spot. So I feel like
for sure
the teams here are really gunning for them. As for the stats, this is a high number. This is what we always look out for. The amount of throwables used per match. So 267 is I believe the number that we are looking for. Last time it went as high as 300 plus, so let's check if it will happen for today. Now, the overall rankings,
wow.
And again, I'm pretty amazed and curious as well. The fact that DRX still remains to be the only team that has a triple-digit score, it is mind-blowing. But Horror Esports climbing up rank, landing at 3rd spot, dethroning Talon Esports with a total of 81 points. I think, one game could really make the difference that they need, right? Every match is a make or break for every team here.
Absolutely. We see it shifting all around. We have different winners for each respective map so far. And K1, after an astounding round, we now see them break into the 50-pointer mark, having a good 10-point gap between them as well as For Miracle Vibes, as they do gain 1 position up ahead. So it's just the nature of the competition being so stiff that, it's if you make one drastic mistake, you get easily punished for it, and which is why we have seen certain great teams that have done so well back in day 1 not really finding that same form of groove here in day 2, but there's still more chances up ahead as we take a little bit of short breathing space. I hope you guys will stick put because in a few minutes we'll move into our next map. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We've promised you the breaks will be very swift, and we are back here once more. It's the Ruthless Invitational Showdown, and we've got some of the best action possible. And of course, we got the queens here joining with me. It's Red Queen Andy. My name's Contra. You've probably seen this cast in some other tournaments, and I'm really happy to be here. This is my first time here in Ruthless, and we've got banger after banger of matches to go. And for tonight, there's only 2 more rounds standing in the way. We've seen different winners so far for today. So who will be the next one to take home that chicken dinner? So, of course, Red Queen, I want to hear your thoughts because you predicted Hora Esports multiple times, and the time that you don't, they win it. So, at the very least, you kind of got your prediction ahead of time.
Yeah, I chose them during not in the right match, but it is okay. I mean, I've always known Horror Esports can always they can always deliver. You know, every time I wanted a chicken dinner, they're one of the teams that really gives me that win that I need for my prediction. But it's okay, you know, as long as they're there at the top, I'm already happy. And this is that was their best match so far
Mhm.
for the grand finals, and I do hope they can continue on racking some points, you know, that they needed to kind of improve more, right? And
Mhm.
that was a great gameplay. I mean, the fact that they've landed at the third spot, so that means that they're really putting in that extra work, that extra effort, you know, making sure that they give us the best show. And speaking of giving the best show, Falcons, For Miracle Vibes, Hora, Talon, these are your top teams for today's set of matches.
Yeah, and it was very impressive out of Hora because with that huge play to secure that chicken dinner, they find themselves currently, like what you said, top three at the moment, knocking down teams like even Talon Esports that have remained to be dormant for the course of the day. And we're we're not too sure what's really going on with some of these guys out there. BTR had a splendid start alongside with DRX, but they're slowly dipping in terms of the form of performance that we've seen coming in from those uh, preceding games that have concluded, of course. So I guess maybe it's the stamina that's starting to, deplete coming from some of these guys out there. But after losing position out there, I'm hoping to see a fired up side of Talent Esports to regain some placements for themselves.
Honestly, to play 6 matches in a day can be exhausting, and we did talk about this all the time, that it's not just about like the physical strength, it also has to do something to do with like mental state, right? You have to get in the games with a strong mental fortitude and a great stamina in going through or powering through all the matches in a day. Some of the teams here, they play not just one tournament, but they play, like a back-to-back tournaments in a day. So can you imagine the kind of effort all of these pro players are actually doing? I mean, the amount of hours that they do invest just to make sure that they play at a certain level will always be outstanding. I'll always
Yeah.
be amazed. That is why I'll always be a fan of not just a team, but all of the teams that we can see participating in any tournaments. But Contra, here we go again. I mean, my radar is really way, 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 way off. I mean, we do choose teams that are included in the top 5 in every match, but we can't seem to nail it, right? Like just like pick the right team.
You gotta pick one though.
Right?
Eeny, meeny,
But
miny, mo. Let's go for one.
Who are you going for this time?
Talent Esports. I want to see answers.
Okay. All right, and production is actually going for Miracle Vibes. I did think about Miracle Vibes, honestly speaking. So I think we're gonna have the same choice with production. So yeah, I'm gonna lock in Miracle Vibes as well.
Wow, okay. I'm absolutely outnumbered. I got to hold for a little bit because I'm feeling a little sneezy at the moment, but I'm looking at the side of Talent Esports that have consistently show up into getting those placement points, but they definitely have a lot more to offer, especially firepower. But today, I don't see much coming outside of Yoru or Rit Phase. I feel like it's the last 2 games. They might as well go all out and start to show who the real Talent Esports really is, that has been creating a storm back in the PMPL Indonesia side as well as the PMSL. So that's something that I dearly do miss coming out of them. So that's where my vote's at.
But Talon already won a chicken dinner for today. You know, the team that I'm actually wondering if they can score a chicken dinner for today, that would be FaZe Clan. Because they really started off really strong, during day number 1 of the grand finals, and they haven't really had quite an explosive performance just yet. So perhaps here in match number 11, Erangel, this is the OG map, the last Erangel, by the way, for this evening. So I do wonder if FaZe Clan can make it happen for the team and actually score a chicken dinner. But then again, I did pick for Miracle Vibes, so I don't want to sound like I'm biased or anything, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of rooting for Miracle Vibes for this round.
Yeah, and really impressive stats that we do have. Thank you very much, production. Well, there's a lot of knockouts coming in from Federalis as well as DRX 6A. And 60 so far has been looking to be one of the sharpest shooter out there, always aiming for the head. And the whole squad of DRX is so interesting in the sense that for the past day, even up to today, when they go for battles, like usually it's very, very clinical the way that they execute, as well as how they always play for this position as well. Which is why that when you compare their stats as compared to all the other teams, they have some inflated numbers, dare I say. But other than that, it hasn't been the best round so far. And speaking of, moving back into Erangel, some stuff are inevitable. And when I say some stuff, it's that battle between Tampa and DRS, as we already see casualties come from DRS.
Yes, sir. Oh man. Okay. Again, this is not the way you would want to start your game, and again, it has to how effective and precise you are with your jump distance, and it looks like Tiamba just bit the heck out of DRS right there because they seem to be winning the fight. Killer YT is already on the ground, and we can see like DRS Yante trying to clap back the situation, but unfortunately, this just like a high advantage on the side of Tiamba. Well, there's a great spray coming from XMPL, but can he finish the fight? Yes, sir, he can.
What a god angle he had right there, and I'm just surprised that Example managed to connect that one up to perfection as well. Gibbon coming up close and personal. This time they are very hasty on this engagement. They say, you know what? Let's not draw out the fight till K1 arrives to the scene. Let's just settle the scores right here, right now. But speaking of which, K1 is not even that built of power. Example does find that grenade, and just like moving by the corner, you start to see DRS is taking good leads, just slowly watering down members after members to the side of Tenba, and now all they have to do is secure this one. And this time, it's a clean victory for DRS, though they do lose Killer YT, but it's 4 points on the table.
Yeah. It was clear advantage on the side of Tiamba just a while ago, so it was a phenomenal performance coming from DRS. The fact that they turned the tables up against Tiamba and actually winning that fight and managing to put up 4 elimination points is something that will always be incredible to our eyes. Now, stage 1, and we already lost 1 team, so down to 15 teams we go. We can see Pandem. Okay, he's gathering information. We've got player 1 driving a vehicle there. Went for a spray, but I have a lot of questions there, Jubranki. I mean, okay, fine. You did a spray. That was mid-range. That was a long range. But why did you think that would be an effective spray? I mean, you're holding a micro Uzi, man.
I guess like they just want to show who's boss of this North George area. Like, okay, I'll let you have that vehicle this time around, but if you come and visit me more often in Day Tree's matchups in the grand finals, I won't let you lose because, yeah, I've got micro Uzi now, but who knows? Next time, they're just gonna bring heavier artillery if you find that early M249. Oh, that's game over, my friend. Anyways, back to FaZe Clan, right? Player 1, I still wonder who could that be? I mean, Ventorius, he's already out for the count very early on. I suspect that to be Team Pandem that has been able to pick that one up. So it wasn't too clean for FaZe Clan to start things off in South George.
Whoever player 1 is, I mean, he's doing tremendous work. I mean, the impact that he's actually giving to FaZe is doing FaZe good because, again, I did say this, that FaZe, the way that they move inside a battlefield right now had a huge improvement. Also, when it comes to like taking in fights, they know how to move inside a battlefield. So I guess player 1, whoever this guy is, you guys should take him in because FaZe is actually doing great as of the moment.
Yeah, this legacy team from Thailand has definitely seen a lot of great Hall of Trophies back in the past, and even more recently, they've still been able to perform up to the standards. Internationally, I think they have definitely have seen better days though, where sometimes facing off internationally, FaZe Clan may not have that same style of execution that they love and desire to go full aggro in the mid game to late. So I guess this is now another restructuring when it comes down to how they want to play things out. FaZe Clan definitely has one of my vote of favorites when it comes down to the C bouts where they've been playing for a very, very long time. But when it comes down to internationals, I feel like sometimes they just don't have that same level of confidence.
Ooh, bold statement right there. But yeah, that could be the case. But yeah, whenever I see them play in official tournaments, I mean, these guys are not really wearing any masks since this is off season. Again, we always think, okay, what intention does this team have participating in the Ruthless Invitational Showdown or perhaps in the Clash of Giants, right? And they don't want to reveal like what kind of monstrous action they can perform inside a battlefield. So whenever we see them play in the official tournaments, they kind of really transform into like apex predators that we know that they are. But I mean, yeah, they still continue to rack up a lot of accolades, a lot of titles under their belt. So this makes like really a great pseudo stage. That is why I believe this is the most anticipated show, in the community when it comes to off season tournaments.
Absolutely. And of course, hats off once again to everybody behind the planning stage to the execution because
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a field day out here casting this tournament. And you guys, as spectators too, I hope you guys have been enjoying it so far. Hit that sub button if you guys haven't already. Now, we get ourselves an early battle, perhaps, between TJB as well as Bigatron Red Aliens, just taking over the control of the Potato Hills. So Hans is got to be on that lookout, hugging by the corner of the rock. We'll be joined by Zuxi as well. Now, they're not going to be in direct contest as there's a fair distance in between, not within at least a grenade's range at the very least. So it will erupt maybe a little bit later on, or TJB can opt to decide, you know what, it's not worth spending too much time here. Now, also, as a matter of fact, of how the first stage have shown us that it's kind of like a 60-40. Some areas covering Sonoska military base, but majority of the teams they're thinking this would very well move into the centerfold of Pachinki, which is why you see TJBs around the corner. PTR, they move very early on, and not too far off, we have the Savior that's going to be circling like eagles too.
Yeah, Talon as well as Alter Ego Errors are having exchange as we speak. BTR is not that far away, so they could join into the mix as well. As for the situation, ladies and gents, we do see a lot of callers down there at central location of the map, and well, I mean, it didn't move at all, or it didn't move that much. It is still in the middle, so perhaps teams are, just gonna get close with one another. And the fact that we are already at the last Erangel this evening, again, this is like the cashing cow, right? The
Mm-hmm.
the OG map that the teams all know by heart. So I don't think they're gonna be reckless. They're not gonna rush into anything. They're gonna take their time. They're not gonna get into a fight unless they are forced to. Now, coming off
Speaking
the
of
kill
one,
feed, it's DRX that's having an exchange. Is it? Oh, okay. So up against four Miracle Vibes, but would they want to risk losing members of the team? We are just at stage 2.
I feel like DRX have their hands pretty much forced in that exchange because they were hoping to rotate, but they get clipped out by the side of core MB. Meanwhile, BTR dealing with heavy firepower coming in. Hans managed to hold them by the staircase, but it is the exchanges coming in from the outskirts. Those bullets coming in from the side of Falcon Forest. We'll see their own demise as well. Icy tries to push in, but it's Richuki taking charge of things here around the block. But there's just not going to be any entry point at all. Falcons, they hope to claim this estate, but they will have to wait for a little bit longer because there's also Udo lines moving into the same direction. The rest of BTR, they managed to go in for the revive, so that's good going for them, picking that 1 point up. But now, what's Jimmy gonna do? He's gonna be hustling the rest of Falcons to move within the compound range once again, but the shots are fired. Top's gonna be on the ground, and the nades flying in. That Molotov might be able to do a little bit of damage, but East will be able to revive his brother very, very quickly. So Redface also on the watch as well. This is 4 teams clumped against another.
I guess it's a good thing, good news on the side of Victor Red Aliens. The fact that East, or was that Top, not quite sure there, but one of them actually got knocked down by Udo Alliance, right? So that actually bought some time for Victor Red Aliens to kind of have a reset. Now, coming from behind, Udo Alliance now getting a huge backstab done up against BTR, hence getting a point right there by added look. Now, Falcons as well as BTR getting sandwiched in between. And as you can see, Udo Alliance holding off multiple angles here, but this is a great response from BTR, shutting down at a look.
And Udo Lions kind of force too much of their advantage as well. They go for a very wide split, sending two members out there. Shoyo didn't manage to provide enough assistance as well because he's on the outskirts of the wall. I think Luke was being a little bit too feisty, trying to claim that compound from the indoor section. Now here comes those grenades coming from the side of Olio. Just a little bit of chip damage being done towards the side of Lapar, but he's still going to be A-okay for the moment. Jimmy, how much more damage can he do coming from the off angle from the top side of the hill? The rest of BTR, they find Zuxi to be knocked down. Lapar tries to resuscitate those members. Those nades are not really hitting the mark just yet, coming from the side of Hands. Now, that allows TJB to slowly move in, and Falcon wants blood too.
Oh man, it's non-stop action right here, ladies and gents. I mean, understandably so, because of the fact that the circle, it has like at least 40% water here. So the land space that we have is not that much. So the circle is getting crowded as we speak. And just like that, DRX being the top team now out of the game. Falcons Force continues to perhaps dominate Udo Alliance because they have been throwing a lot of nades. And Shoyo is still on the ground with no way for Jimmy to actually pick him up just yet. But you know what? We don't know what's going to happen because Olio's still alive and is trying to, of course, just keep Falcons Force at bay.
It really feels like a giant party happening in between Udo Lines, BTR, as well as Falcon. But on the other block, though, by the corner of the port, we have Harame Bros as well as CJB. They're having a party of their own as well. Maybe not as clustered as compared to what BTR is currently faced off up against. Hans forced to play a little bit more defensively. Udo Lions, they're just hugging the lower floors, trying to prime grenades through. Still not really getting angles right. I say that, and Olio finds the mark. Now, all they have to do is to spot out the rest of Falcons, as Udo Lions, they definitely have quite the outrageous performance out here against BTR.
Man, it's like again celebrating New Year here because there's tons of gunshots that I can hear. But yeah, I mean, looking at the situation, just looking at the map, Harame Bros TJB, they are at the coast once again, ladies and gents, and there will be plenty of teams that would try to go towards that direction because again we don't have that much space. So Harame Bros will be put to what skills will be put to test once again, ladies and gents. FaZe is in between the Savior and TJB. Former Vibes is keeping quiet for now. They're laying their heads low, but we can see that Falcons Force, Top and East, trying to perform for us right now. They're doing a little bit of that tap and fire up against Team Tandem, but considering the distance that they have, I don't think anything is going to happen just yet. But you know what? Udo Alliance, they're ready to go once again. Will they continue to challenge up or like get the job done up against Falcons?
Yeah, they managed to get those stocks coming in from fallen members of BTR. They should be well equipped to eventually go up against Falcons, but they are being a lot more respectful as well because they understand there are other teams like Talon that's coming deeper into the mainland that could still hold a little bit of a threat, and not forgetting Pandem too. Now, DRS, they have cleared out Milta and they've had that free passage into farm. They assessed the situation well to claim that coastal corner for their own. So I do believe that's going to be a very good angle to play from, knowing that there's nobody behind you coming from the south to pose any form of threat, so they can just focus forward into what's really happening. And with that crowd going over on the west side, they don't really have too much to worry about. So I see them making a deep run here. But as for 4MV and the rest coming in from the far west, like DX as well as Talon, they got problems of their own to worry about.
I've seen this kind of circle during day one. I'm not gonna lie here. I mean, basically the same teams. Harame, we've got For Miracle Vibes right there on the coast. But yeah, I mean, the Savior, For Miracle Vibes, they will have to deal with one another before they could actually infiltrate that side of the circle. But there's plenty of teams that might say hi. We still got Yudo Alliance and Falcons Force not getting through the fight here. Rosemary with a massive spray. Now, there you go. D Savior puts down Doc.
Oh boy, for MV, they're just getting hustled, even by the corner of the coast where they're not exactly in the zone just yet, and needing to even go in for a pickup right now. They don't have much time, so DX takes this chance to go on for the full rush against 4MV. Meanwhile, Utilize finally decides it's time to make our advancements clear. Top's already down, only one member left, and he's just hugging by the corner wall. Ease will soak it all up. It's 5 elimination points for the side of Yudo Alliance. A lot cleaner, a lot better when it comes down to how they execute this one. Falcon only walks away with 1 point. Yeah. Not too disappointing, honestly, but it definitely took a while for them to conclude this one.
They showed teeth, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah. That was 10 teams remaining, ladies and gents. And of course, For Miracle Vibes also out of the game, courtesy of D Savior. Now we can see that, okay, maybe D Savior is trying to pick up the pace here. They would love to show up, at least for this round. I mean, eliminating For Miracle Vibes, one of the strong teams that we have in the competition, is a great sign that, perhaps we will see a change of pace coming from D Savior. But then again, the only entry point I can see that they can go through would be, from the west side, wherein Harame and TJB is currently camping, I can say. Talon now challenging up Yudo Alliance. Let's see what's going to happen.
This is a very bold move coming from Talon. They've been watching like a hawk for the longest of time, and after they have full Senate against the rest of the members of Falcons, they thought that maybe there's going to be damaged members coming out of Yudo Alliance, but this is definitely a prime location that they could hold out for the meantime. And if they need to back away, Talon has moved in from the north, so they know that there are some areas that is a little bit cleared up. But the other side, we are still having TJB as well as Harai Bros locked into position. It's been a truce for a long time, but DX hoping to shake that one up. And speaking of DX, they kind of won a little bit of both. Like there's Yudo Alliance that I could pick off. There's TJB that could do so as well. Which one will they go for?
But okay.
Why not
so
both?
if they want to do business right now, they have to settle the score as fast as they could because the zone had favored the east side this time. We've got DRS again. Very good with their circle prediction. Not gonna lie here. They have a compound, to defend, and I believe before Harame Bros, TJB, D Saver, and Talent Esports could even leave the compound, oh man, they will have an exchange, inevitable exchange.
Yeah, which is why I pointed out very early on, like DRS, they don't really have to do too much in order to actually get rewarded with that positioning because they can spot anything that moves around these sections. So right now, they could just win it once again. But what I do believe to be a good contender will be Alter Ego Ares moving into the late stages of the game because they're taking the North Point uncontested as well. But the nades are flying through. DX versus Talon. We've already lost Yudo Alliance early on. And FaZe Clan is the next to bite the dust as well. Those nades flying into the window is going to be a little bit tough for Talon